So my fantasy is just to, well, my personal fantasy is just that people in my area, my part of the world, uh, spend more time together and become friendlier and closer and tighter as a group of friends. Because when you get older and you're in a new place, it's more difficult to make friends than it was when you were younger, because when you're younger, you're money in a metaphorical sense. You're sexy. You're a hot commodity, somebody you'd like to take a look at on LinkedIn or something, you know? Uh, and you have energy to make friends and do things, and you need people because you're on the upswing. You're up and coming. You have places to go and people to see and things to do, and as you get older, there's less and less of that. So the energy required to make friends is a lot. It's just it requires a lot more energy, and it's harder to make yourself get out there and do it. If you live in a nice town with a lot of expats, I guess, if you're a foreigner and move abroad, you can hang out and walk around and rub elbows with people and join some groups like your bowling clique or your horseback riding clique or your dog walking clique or whatever, and tell war stories about your former life and make friends. But it takes time and effort to deepen these friendships, and you have to think about that when you go abroad to live. It's not as easy as you think. Let me look here. So I'm out walking around, which is nice to do. See that spread down there? That's a big barn. I got to figure out how to go down and have a look at that place. Probably on my bicycle. Yeah, so I'll continue walking. That was a nice little pathway through some orchards. Coming up on a road here. It's really beautiful. It's cool. I've got a light down jacket. That's more than enough. I like that ground cover. Yeah, so breezy and nice. Christina said the other day that there's nothing better than a winter sun. And it's so true. We were sitting by the beach in São Martinho de Port, and it was just so warm and pleasant. No people. People don't go to the beach in the winter, so all these beach towns around here become, your own little private parks. And it's really, really nice. This is such a peaceful place to live. I'm so fortunate to live in a peaceful place. When I say money, I'm not talking about the investor class or something like that. People invest, that's what they do. It makes sense, it's important to do that. But I mean that you're just not as desirable as you once were. And you're not chasing what's desirable like you used to. Unless you're a big time player, and you still got to get on your private jet and go make deals. Like our president, he's a deal maker. But yeah, so if you can handle the peace and not worry about the fact that you're just not going to be when you get old, you just don't have as many friends as you did when you were young. That's just the way it is. Even down at the country club, people come and go. But yeah, this place is nice. Yeah, so it's not like a prepping community. Hey kids, come out with me and let's prep for the fall of man or something like that. It's just like, let's get together and have more fun while we can. Because I've watched the conversation for so long, and the conversation doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. So, you keep expecting the next, whatever, 4 years or whatever, it's going to be different. It never is. But we're compelled to talk and tell the stories, have the conversation. We can't help it. So that's what we do. And a lot of my wiser friends, have told me, don't worry about any of this stuff, man. It doesn't really matter. Just get on with it. And I think, like the nicest people I know are from simpler places and countries, and they have simpler, lifestyles and whatnot. They don't have many wants or needs, and they have very nice families and extended families and friendships and communities. And these people really have it made. There's something, even though life is difficult, they don't have as much stuff. They have each other, and it's really quite beautiful. So I've seen that around the world where, in Mexico and in China and other parts of the world where I've been, places in Africa, in India. I'm not romanticizing that at all. It just feels to me like, and in Japan as well, it feels to me like those relationships are just very profound and beautiful. And I think it's the same in the United States, in England, in Wales, in France. People who are living a simpler life with good people tend to have happier lives. And my carbon footprint is huge, and you can't blame people for being part of this world. And the players are going to continue to play. They've done it for 10,000 years, and they're going to continue until the great game falls. And it will collapse of its own weight. There are consequences, and nature is unforgiving. That's for sure, and we're part and parcel of it. Great nature, and when we've gone too far in overshoot, it's not going to be good for our species. But for now, everything's pretty darn nice. I'm not particularly religious, but when I was young in Colorado, in Denver and Newmarket-on-Fergus, I went to church. There was a really nice community, church community. I mean, that was a good thing. We went to church, whether you were a, reverent believer or not, and engaged in all kinds of activities with one another. And you felt like you're in church. There's your community in church. Now around here, around Europe, it's so secular now. All these village churches are fairly empty. And I don't know, I think something's lost there. I mean, I understand that maybe religion is out of fashion, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. For me, I can see going to church and still like being an atheist and just, enjoying the community. And also, I've read good books, all the good books, and not just the Bible and the Quran and the Bhagavad Gita and, Baha'i literature and whatever, but also Melville and Shakespeare, Milan Kundera, F. Scott Fitzgerald, whatever. Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, And, I love mythology, Greek mythology, Roman myths, Stoics, the Roman, Marcus Aurelius, all these kind of people. Uh, it's all pretty freaking good, actually. And I do wish that in our little villages, everybody did gather. But, no one's in the villages anymore. Everybody's in the big city because we have to be, right? And if you can make more money in another big city, that's where you're going to go. It seems like Europe's economy is in trouble at the moment. Who knows? I don't know. I would be delusional to think I know what the what the situation is in the future here. But the idea that you can travel to America or Germany or England to get a better salary and then return to Portugal to invest in property or help your parents or whatever. The Filipino diaspora and so on. I think that's going away, and I'm wondering, I've said this before when I was cycling, if people are going to be coming back to the villages and what kind of life or community they're going to build in these villages. Um, as things get simpler, we'll be able to make bricks and, find a way to cook and eat and grow food. Some regions will be better than others for doing these things, but basically, if I live long enough to see it, I would love to see these villages populated with families. I know, degrowth and overpopulation and all that kind of thing. But even just if the families that exist today come back to the villages and you see children playing and people hanging out with their grandparents on the weekend and people spilling into and out of church, what's the harm in all that? We have all these dictators, we hate them so much, Salazar, and, they want to stay in power, they're paternalistic, they think they know better. People go to prison and whatnot, and I don't know, trying to preserve something, not just their power, but some people actually have convictions and have principles, beliefs, or convictions, and want to preserve or build something. Obviously I don't want to go back to a period where people think gay people are evil or whatnot. I'm just checking. Am I being recorded? People are evil or not. It's like Oscar Wilde. I don't want to see that period again. I'm still sympathetic with feminists who are advocating their sexual rights as a woman. They call it cisgender now. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all that stuff because it's too controversial and a lot of pain there. But, people just a bit more tolerant, a bit more loving, a bit more welcoming. You don't want to go back to the Idlib where women are stoned to death for adultery and so on, where sectarian warfare means that you slaughter people who have a slightly different version of Islam than you do, or Christianity. And history is riddled with this, but in general it's been the servant of power at the end of the day, although stories and belief systems are incredibly motivating in the sense that they can, really solidify your conviction that the other has to be destroyed. This has to go. In my peaceful paradise, there's a potential here for people to come back to the villages, and you have these vibrant communities, you know, young and old people living together and taking care of each other. You're not going to be buddy-buddy with everybody in the community. Some people you'll like more than others. Some people you might dislike. It doesn't matter. It's the vibrancy, the vim, vigor, and verve, and vitality that's there that matters. That's the thing that makes it all beautiful. I hope that that happens, but you know, whatever. I mean, when I say hope, it's not like I rest my moment-to-moment happiness on thinking something might happen. It's not like that. Hopium is worthless to me. It's just thinking about something that seems nice. It seems good and friendly and fairly beautiful. You know, because it's possible. There's a probability curve there. And we're all so damn clever now because we can parrot and echo all these different people out there in the electronic universe so easily. I mean, back in the day, you know, what book are you going to buy? You know, I'm going to spend my $6.95 on what book? You know, there's only so many books I can carry. Now I can carry a whole library on my phone. You keep trying to get through them all. I mean, I've read so much, but you know, it just goes in one brain cell and out the other, and he's out the synapse. But it's enjoyable. It's a nice pastime to read. I don't know if it makes me wiser or not. But yeah, I kind of miss the church thing now. You know, when you're a kid and you want to go play on a Sunday or a Wednesday night, and your parents or your aunts trying to get you to go to church, it can be a bit of a bummer, but once you get there, it's not so bad. Spending an hour or so, and you know, doesn't hurt. You know, you go to the Bible school and you hang out with people, and it's not that bad. I keep trying to remember preschool and kindergarten, you know, when I was a kid. Was preschool just daycare? I don't know. Was kindergarten daycare? I don't know. My parents worked, but, you know, where are these places? Where do you go? And we're going to need villages, or whatever. Things will happen. You know, as long as it's fun to be young in Amsterdam, it's going to be great to be young in Amsterdam. I was young in Amsterdam once. I had my literary moment, my Champs-Élysées in Shanghai for a while. It was pretty exciting. But anyway, I'm nostalgic for things I don't even know about. It's kind of weird. And, of course, you have this view. And, of course, you have this view.